He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced in the path of mastery. That is the promise and the literal cheat code inside one of the most notorious books ever written, the Kybalion. In a world obsessed with surface-level motivation tactics and manifestation mantras, the Kybalion is different. It's a gateway into the deeper laws that govern this reality. I've read close to 1,000 books on personal development, psychology, spirituality, business, entrepreneurship, mysticism, reality creation, quantum physics, occult wisdom, esoteric knowledge. I've read just about everything, and I literally mean everything. I've been nerding out over this stuff for the last 14 years. And honestly, you don't even have to waste your time reading most of those books like I did if you just watch this video, because this is one of those rare books that you're going to read over and over and over again because it's that powerful. In this video, I'm going to simplify it all so that you yourself can equip the 7 Hermetic Principles in your arsenal of tools to achieve mastery over your universe by reprogramming your mind and your reality. These are the same Hermetic teachings that secret societies, master alchemists, and elite creators have used for millennia to influence outcomes and create wealth by mastering the unseen forces of life. If this is your first time meeting me, I'm Jose, and I'm the man that conscious entrepreneurs and creators hire when they're ready to break the illusion and rise as leaders in the conscious economy. And if you thought my reality transurfing video was deep, just wait, it goes way deeper. Break out the sacred journal and get ready to take some notes. So where did this mysterious book come from, and why has it been so influential? It was published back in 1908 by a group of anonymous authors known as the Three Initiates. Many historians speculate it was actually written by William Walker Atkinson, the popular occult teacher from the late 1800s who used many pseudonyms throughout his career. And although it's not 100% confirmed that the Kybalion was him, it sounds very close to many of his other books on esoteric and occult wisdom. At its core, the Kybalion is a New Age interpretation of the Emerald Tablet, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the mythical figure known as the first alchemist, the master of masters. Now, let's pause for a second. What does esoteric actually mean? Because most people think anything that is esoteric or occult means demonic or evil. But that's not the case. Esoteric simply means hidden, knowledge intended for, or only truly understood by a select few who are initiated or deeply curious. So whenever you hear esoteric or occult, don't think spooky or demonic ritualistic activity, think unfiltered truth that's been buried beneath metaphor and symbols. Why? Because this knowledge was never intended for the masses. Just like Jesus spoke in parables, these teachings are encoded so that only those with an awakened soul and a curious mind can go deeper. The rest turn a blind eye, and I'm here to snap you out of that trance so that you can see for yourself. Now here's the crazy part. Secret societies and elite power-hungry institutions have hoarded this information for centuries. That's why they don't teach any of this in school and call it demonic, because if you knew this information, you would be impossible to control, so they keep it away from you by making you afraid of it. And this isn't some conspiracy theory. They're doing this intentionally and strategically. Why do you think the news on TV constantly pumps fear and hysteria into your nervous system 24/7? They're using Principle 5 against you, keeping you off balance long enough so that you never stop to ask the real questions. Even just look at the whole gender identity problems that have been rampant over the last 10 years. It's not a coincidence. That's Principle 7 being intentionally distorted and weaponized to confuse a generation before they even hit adulthood. You know exactly where I'm going with this, but let's take off the tinfoil hat for a second here and bring this back to you, because that's why you're here. You want to know how you can use this wisdom to transform your reality. So who exactly was Hermes Trismegistus? Trismegistus means thrice great, and he's considered the original alchemist. It's a figure that blends the identities of the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. His teachings were passed down through generations of initiates, encoded in texts like the Emerald Tablet, which outlines the foundational truths of mental and energetic transmutation. Even Isaac Newton, the father of modern physics, was obsessed with the Emerald Tablets. He translated it himself back in the 1600s. But that side of Newton's contribution to the world is conveniently left out of textbooks because it blurs the lines between science and spirituality, and they don't want you knowing that. He was more obsessed with the metaphysical, the science of the beyond, and I'm willing to bet that you're just finding this out right now. Now this is where the Kybalion comes in. It simplifies the hidden codes in the Emerald Tablet by distilling it into 7 Hermetic Principles in a way that the everyday man or woman can actually apply. And the truth is, you already are an alchemist. You're transmuting reality in every moment, whether you realize it or not. But very few ever learn how to do this consciously. That's why I'm making this video, so that you can more consciously create your own reality. And when I first read this book, it felt like I was reading hieroglyphics. Like, it reminded me back when I was in AP Calculus in high school. And I thought to myself, why does math have so many letters? Like, this is ridiculous, right? But over time, I practiced and I studied, and eventually I got a 5 on the AP exam. So I didn't have to take any math courses when I was in university, because if you pass the AP exam, you're exempt. You get college credits, so you're exempt from taking certain math courses. Now, this book is the exact same way. It's very nuanced at first, but over time, it'll start to click. And once it does, You'll never go back to your old self because you've gained a whole new level of energy and alignment. And that's exactly how I live my life every single day. And interestingly, it's not actually that complicated, it's really quite simple. The greatest form of nuance is simplicity, and simplicity is one of my 7 core values. If you want to know what the other 6 are, join my members list with over 600 other conscious entrepreneurs and creators receiving weekly insights on business and spirituality, and I'll drop them in my next transmission. But let's get into the 7 Hermetic Principles, starting with Principle 1, Mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. This principle states that reality is not merely physical, it's mental and energetic in nature. Everything you experience, every object, every emotion, every event, every moment, originates from a single infinite consciousness known as the all. You can call this source whatever you like: God, Allah, Yahweh, Source, Higher Mind, etc. Every religion attempts to describe the same universal intelligence through its own lens, and they derive all their specific dogma based upon their interpretation of what that God is. But make no mistake, they're all pointing to the same origin. Think of the all as the unified field of pure awareness, and you are a projection of that awareness. So is everything you perceive. The entire universe exists as ideas within the mind of the all, which means you are not separate from God. You are God experiencing itself. Every person you meet is a reflection of you. Every thought, every interaction is consciousness in motion, folding in and out of itself in infinite forms. And here's the click. Your interpretation of reality, what you believe to be true, literally generates your experience of it. That's why mentalism comes first. It contains all other principles inside of it because everything starts in the mind. So what does this tell you about you and your life? It means that reality is a placebo. Let me explain this. In medicine, the placebo effect is when someone heals after taking a sugar pill or saline injection simply because they believe it will have an effect. The mind creates the result regardless of what the actual chemical compound is. This effect is so reliable that pharmaceutical companies are required to test for it in every clinical trial. Why does this happen? Because your mind is that powerful. If you think you're taking a pill that can cure your disease, even though it's just a sugar pill, your body will literally heal itself. But guess what? The placebo effect works in the opposite direction too. You could be given a chemical compound scientifically designed to cure a disease, but if you don't believe it works, your body won't heal. Your disbelief blocks the effect. Your mind overrides the medicine. The universe and reality work exactly the same way. That's how deep this goes. I've only been sick twice in the last 10 years because I've literally brainwashed myself into believing that I have the immune system of a god. I've repeated that to myself so often that it became true. Now your job as the alchemist of your reality is to transmute your beliefs, your thoughts, and your subconscious patterns to align with a version of yourself where you win, where you're powerful, fulfilled, abundant, free, confident, intelligent, rich, all the things you desire. So right now, if you're stuck in circumstances you don't prefer, whether it's struggling to find love, stuck in a job that you hate, or unable to grow your business, whatever the case might be, the answer isn't out there. The answer is within. Your life is a video game, and your thoughts and beliefs are determining what kind of character you are choosing to be, and your actions are like the controller guiding the character through the dungeons. You are projecting a world based upon unconscious beliefs that are sabotaging your path. And until you become aware of those beliefs and shift them, your external reality will continue reflecting your internal misalignment. If you think that life is a battle and that you have to fight for your place under the sun, then that's exactly what your video game is going to be like, and you'll continue to encounter pain, struggle, and failure at every corner. But if you shift your mental focus to one where life is generous, supportive, and serving you at the highest levels, even if you do encounter misfortune, the video game begins to feel fun and starts reflecting more of what you do prefer. Because remember, you are a projection of the all, and the all is within you. And your mind is projecting reality as your video game experience in the same way that the body can cure diseases with the power of thought alone. Your mental focus and energetic frequency shape the world you live in. If the world feels heavy, chaotic, or limiting, it means somewhere within your perception you are out of harmony with your divine blueprint. Audit your thoughts, and eliminate all mental programming that doesn't align with the version of reality that wins on all levels. Principle 2, correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. As without, so within. This principle states that patterns repeat across all levels of reality, from the cosmic to the cellular, from the energetic to the physical. What happens in one realm reflects in the other. Your inner world shapes your outer world and vice versa. Like, think about that for a second. Galaxies look like atoms, and atoms look like galaxies. Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not. That's divine architecture in its purest form. Now, based on principle 1, you already know that reality is a placebo, but let's take it a step further. Reality is a mirror. Our universe is divided into 3 planes: the spiritual plane, the mental plane, and the physical plane. These planes aren't actually separate dimensions, they're different expressions of the same unified field. We only distinguish them to better understand how this maps out mentally. In simple terms, the spiritual and mental planes, what's above and within, generate the experience you have in the physical plane, what's below and without. But it flows both ways. Your physical experience can also influence your spiritual alignment and mental state. That's why life feels like an infinite feedback loop, because it is. Think of the physical plane of existence as your circumstances, actions, habits, and results. The physical plane is a reflection of your spiritual and mental existence, which consists of your beliefs, emotions, thoughts, and mental attitudes. Your beliefs dictate your emotions dictate your thoughts dictate your mental attitudes dictate your actions dictate your habits dictate your circumstance dictates your results, and your overall results reinforce your beliefs and triggers the cycle to repeat. And this whole cycle solidifies as your vibrational frequency that influences the universe and the mind of the all. We'll go deeper into vibration and frequency in Principle 3, but for now, just understand that the outer is the reflection and the echo of the inner. And if you're watching this right now, you probably get that on some level already. Like, you've read the books, you've done journaling, maybe you even meditated in the jungle with a butterfly on your head, and yet you still feel stuck. I can already hear you like, Jose, I totally get that. I'm trying to be high vibrational, but like, I wake up in the morning and I still got 3D bills due, not enough opportunities, not enough money, and it just feels hard. It feels impossible. Like, how do I actually transmute that? Here's the key. Stop reacting to the physical plane. Stop trying to fix the reflection, and instead, focus on mental and spiritual alignment. Alchemy is not about doing, it is about being. Who you are being is infinitely more important than what specific actions or habits you implement. This is why I tell every client I work with, the strategy doesn't matter, because it never did. It's the person applying the strategy that determines whether it works or not. Because if your inner world is riddled with imposter syndrome, shame, self-doubt, and internal friction, it doesn't matter what actions you take, you are going to hold yourself energetically in place, and reality will mirror that as stagnation, missed opportunities, and misfortune. Your negative thoughts reflect negative outcomes. Emotional reactions create emotional circumstances. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people jump from idea to idea, opportunity to opportunity, business to business, relationship to relationship, job to job, failing at everything, and then blaming the world for being unfair, and then saying shit like, there's no more good men or good women out there. That's simply not true. And the common denominator amongst all of those failures is you. Write this down, tattoo it on your forehead, that the mirror won't smile until you do. You must smile first, and only then does the reflection change. And even if your physical reality doesn't shift immediately, that's okay. That's part of the illusion. But hold your alignment long enough and it has to shift. Also remember that as below, so above is just as real as above, so below. Meaning that your physical world also impacts your internal state equally. That's why environment is so important. If you're surrounded with people, content, and places that drag your frequency down and distract you from internal alignment, that's like trying to fill a bucket of water with holes in the bottom. Get a new bucket, but do so after you've started watering your inner world with empowering thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Fix the leak, but make sure the water flowing in is pure first. This is how you make the loop work in your favor. Shift your focus away from the physical and nurture alignment with the spiritual and mental, and let your inner world do the heavy lifting for you. Principle 3, vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves. Everything vibrates. This principle states that everything in the universe is in constant motion, even what appears to be solid or still. Every atom, every thought, every emotion, every object vibrates at a particular frequency, and the rate of that vibration determines its nature. Modern quantum physics supports this. Atoms, the building blocks of the universe, are 99.9999% empty space. What we perceive as solid matter is actually high-frequency vibration creating the illusion of solidity. Stop and think about that for a second. Everything you see is an illusion. It's not truly solid. Your body itself is 99.9999% empty space. What we experience as matter is really just electromagnetic fields repelling each other, electrons interacting in a structured motion. Our senses simply cannot perceive these interactions, and that's why it appears invisible to us. But you're not solid matter. You are structured frequency. That's why you're not falling through the floor right now watching this video. And if you are falling through the floor right now, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe drink a coffee and lock back in. But to go even deeper, if all that empty space inside the atoms of our bodies were removed, if every atom were collapsed down just to its nucleus, the entire human race could fit into a single sugar cube. That's how little physical stuff there actually is in what we call reality. Everything is frequency at the atomic level. Light is frequency. Sound is frequency. Your brain emits frequencies. Your heart emits frequencies. Your thoughts and emotions are frequencies. Now let's take this a step further. The electromagnetic spectrum includes all forms of radiation and energy that move as waves, surrounding you at every given moment. You are being bombarded with energy and radiation literally at every given moment. And yet the portion of the spectrum that is visible to the human eye, what we call visible light, makes up only 0.0035%. That means 99.9965% of reality is invisible to your eye. Guess who discovered that? Isaac Newton. We are quite literally blind to the full nature of existence. And I'm not telling you this to overwhelm you, but to expand your awareness of how little we've been taught and how much more power lies beneath the surface level of understanding. So how does this help you transmute lack into abundance or align with the video game that you prefer to play? Because once you understand that your thoughts and emotions are frequencies, you realize that you're constantly broadcasting a signal into the universe at all times. And reality simply reflects that signal back to you through your interpretive experience of existence. Your vibrational frequency is the feeling state that determines what dimension of possibility you align with. And so the whole game of ascending into higher levels of confidence, success, wealth, love, health, freedom, etc. is a game of frequency first and physical action second. What do I mean by this? I mean that you can take all the action you want and apply all the new habits and tricks you hear from the internet that are trending. But if your frequency is tainted with fear, guilt, shame, apathy, resentment, or any other negative emotions, your signal attracts experiences that reflect negative outcomes. But take those same actions and shift to a frequency of joy, peace, confidence, flow, clarity, power, and all other positive emotions, you begin attracting corresponding opportunities and circumstances that align with infinite possibility, and thus, positive outcomes become manifest. This is not woo-woo magic like the spiritual gurus want you to think. It's not think happy thoughts and all of a sudden manifest a lottery ticket win. It's tuning your inner world like a radio dial to the degree that you no longer need your manifestation to be seen in your outer world in order for you to feel high vibrational about yourself and your life. Because manifestation doesn't mean pulling something out of thin air. It means aligning yourself so precisely with the version of you who already has it that the people, opportunities, and results you're seeking naturally orbit into your field. The higher you vibrate, the more powerfully life mirrors back your desires. And it's not because of what you are doing, but who you are being when you do it. And once you understand this, your desires become the natural byproduct of your reality, not the goal. You're just being you in your natural state of alignment with the all and organically executing in real time and affecting positive change on the universe itself. I call this the unified frequency. It's your most natural and normal state of being that effortlessly creates the reality you desire and carries with it the feeling of peace and certainty amongst all circumstances and situations you encounter. I have a whole module on the unified frequency inside of my digital program called the 4-Hour Conscious Creator. The link is in the description. Principle 4, polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. This principle states the deep truth that opposites are not separate things, they are two ends of the same spectrum. Every experience, every emotion, every outcome you face in life is part of a single continuum. What we call hot and cold are just different degrees of temperature. Light and dark, two ends of brightness. Confidence and insecurity, same energy, different polarity. And you can extrapolate this to all qualities and characteristics of reality. Good versus bad, rich versus poor, success versus failure, happiness versus depression, certainty versus uncertainty, etc., etc. It's all one essence, vibrating at different frequencies. This is the foundation of non-duality. You are not separate from God, you are an expression of God. In the same way that ice, water, and steam are all just forms of H2O, you, your neighbor, and the divine itself are different expressions of the all. Where does man end and God begin? There is no clear line. Just like there's no exact moment where cold becomes hot. We would all agree that 1 degree higher on a thermometer is hotter, but it's all just a spectrum. And when you understand that, you gain leverage over your entire reality. Because here's the key to transmutation. If every polarity is just a sliding scale, you can shift from one end to the other. Take confidence, for example. Many of you would say that you lack confidence in yourself, which we could label as insecurity. Insecurity isn't the absence of confidence, it's confidence in your lack of confidence. It's a paradox. Go back and rewind that and listen to it one more time. You are confident in your lack of confidence. That is confidence. Or take scarcity versus abundance, for example. If you think you live in scarcity, what are you actually saying to yourself? You're saying you have an abundance of scarcity. That is abundance. Scarcity isn't the absence of abundance, it's an abundant focus on what's missing. Are you starting to see through it all? This flips everything. The moment you recognize that even your misfortune is just fortune disguised as perceived negative outcomes, you stop resisting what is, and you start alchemizing reality. Here's another example for you. Let's say you're broke. You look at your bank account, your bills, your missed opportunities, business isn't working, whatever the case is. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel shame, panic, guilt, uncertainty? Those feelings radiate a powerful energetic frequency where your physical circumstances carry such a heavy negative weight. But zoom out. What did we say earlier? You're not lacking abundance. You're abundant in scarcity. And that frequency is flowing strong and it's sticky. It's like gum on the bottom of your shoe. But if it can flow one way, it can flow the other. Shift the feeling. This is the essence of transmutation. Realizing that every polarity contains the seed of its opposite, and the power to shift is already within you. You don't need to kill the darkness to find the light. You embrace the dark and simply move toward light, one internal shift at a time. And this is where the principle of polarity gets personal. It teaches you that your so-called failures, heartbreaks, losses, and breakdowns aren't setbacks. They're starting points on the same scale as your success, love, gain, and breakthroughs. Every curse contains a hidden gift. Every ending plants the seed of a new beginning. Every misfortune holds within it a corresponding fortune if you know how to look at it. So the next time you're in a dark night of the soul, remember, the light isn't somewhere else. It's just a few notches away on the same dial. So relax. You're not as far as you think you are. All you need is a shift in perspective. Success, power, and mastery over your reality is not binary, it is dual in nature. And your job isn't to fight the dark, it's to transmute it by shifting your internal frequency to the side of the spectrum that aligns with your highest self. Because the moment you stop judging your pain, you begin reclaiming your power. The unified frequency becomes your dominant frame of reality, and the universe begins responding accordingly. Principle 5. Rhythm. Everything flows in and out. All things rise and fall. The swing of the pendulum to the left is the swing of the pendulum to the right. This principle states that life operates in cycles. Everything, emotions, success, seasons, creativity, relationships, finances, all follow a rhythm, a rise and a fall, a natural swing from one polarity to the other. Just as the tides go in and out, your reality ebbs and flows. You'll have seasons of momentum, creation, and breakthroughs, followed by seasons of rest, integration, and recalibration. Moments of sowing, moments of reaping. The key to mastery isn't resisting the rhythms, it's aligning with them and riding the wave. Your understanding of this is twofold. First, you recognize the cyclical nature of life, and you allow space for the natural rises and falls of your vibrational frequency. As godly as you think you are, you're still a human. You're not meant to always be up. And actually, some of the most spiritually misaligned people I've met are the toxic positivity guru types that are always just high vibes and they sit on their pedestal of spiritual enlightenment, judging everyone else. Really what that is, that's just spiritual ego. You understand that each phase serves a purpose and you are in flow with it. Second, you adopt the single most important frame of reality that separates the masters from the amateurs, those trapped in endless cycles of fear and negative outcomes. Neutrality. Neutrality is the highest vibrational frequency you can hold when life is swinging. It's what allows you to move through life with effortlessness, stability, and flow. When the pendulum swings towards momentum and success, you don't become arrogant or over-celebratory. You know that this is just the upswing, and you remain grounded. When the pendulum swings towards resistance, challenge, or failure, you don't collapse into shame or frustration because you know that the pendulum swing will return and that this too shall pass. Most people overreact to both ends of the polarity and thus knock themselves out of balance with the universal equilibrium. They get addicted to the highs, gripping too tightly and burning out because on a deeper level, they don't believe that the good times will last, or that they just got lucky, or that they have to battle with reality to keep their place. They spiral out of control in the lows, letting shame and fear pull them even deeper, keeping them trapped in low vibrational experiences. It's very sticky. Neutrality is what stills the swing of the pendulum. It allows your baseline energy to rise because you no longer waste energy chasing the highs or fighting the lows. You drop the sword and stop battling the universe. Why? Because you are in flow with the rhythm. You are calm, clear, centered, and confident. You trust yourself and trust the universe on your path of mastery. The unified frequency is embodied. And think about this too. This is a good visualization of what rising into higher and higher energetic states looks like in practical reality. Most people have a rigid outlook of their state, meaning they think it's binary. They're either up or they're down. But your frequency and subsequent life outcomes are more like a stock chart. Let me explain this. If you look at a stock chart for any publicly traded company, there are many highs and lows. The price per share will go up 10%, then down 3%, then up 20%, then down 5%, then up 8%, then down 4%. But zoom out and look at the long-term trend, it's all upward. You see, the amateur investor only sees the 3% dip in the short-term window and sells off in a panic. That's why most retail investors lose money trading on the stock market. They're too emotional because of their narrow, short-sighted lens and are out of flow with the rhythm. Reality follows this same cycle. The pendulum swings to the left and it swings to the right. And your job as an alchemist is to remain neutral. This allows you to raise your baseline energy where you experience higher highs and higher lows, but the consistent trend is upward. And when you compound this upward trend over a long enough time horizon, you're up 1,000% from where you initially started. And then the casual observer will see your 1,000% gain and say that you got lucky. Let the amateurs think what they want. You know the truth. From this place, misfortune doesn't stick. You become resilient and resourceful, no longer knocked off course by every external fluctuation. Your ability to hold neutrality allows you to climb into higher and higher states of clarity, power, and precision. This is what it means to live in true flow. When you master the rhythm, life becomes less of a fight and more of a sacred dance with the universe. Uncertain experiences don't rattle you, and you slide from the negative polarity of uncertainty into the positive end of that polarity into pure certainty. A master is born. And final point here, just as a personal observation, that the more the pendulum swings in resistance against you, the further it swings in the direction of success. Think about it like a bow and arrow. The further you pull back the string, the further the arrow flies. So if life is beating you down right now, just hold on. Blessings are coming and you will be greatly rewarded. Trust the pendulum. Principle 6, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. This principle states that there are no coincidences, only consequences. Every outcome, every circumstance, every experience you face is the effect of a preceding cause, and every thought, choice, and action you take becomes the cause of a future effect. Nothing in the universe is random. It's all unfolding with precision according to law. So when life feels unfair, stagnant, or chaotic, when you're stuck in realities you don't prefer, it's not because the universe is punishing you, it's because you're unconsciously repeating the same causes and expecting different effects. You already know from Principle 1 that everything is mental, and when you combine that with cause and effect, it becomes clear. If you want different results, you must shift the mental and energetic causes that created them. But most people never do this. They obsess over the effects, the reflection in the mirror, the physical plane. They look in the mirror and feel scarcity, shame, confusion, frustration, etc. And in a tantrum, they slap their hands in the water like they're drowning, desperate for air, waiting for someone to come and rescue them. All the while, the real solution lies beyond the mirror. Change the cause and save yourself. You are not a victim. You are 100% responsible for everything you experience, even if it's your fault. And I don't say that to create more guilt and shame. It's actually the most liberating and powerful truth. Because when you adopt this grounded, elevated perspective, you begin to zoom out. You stop reacting to what is, and you start creating what will be. You move from a reactor to a creator. You just got to move the seat over. And here's the wild part. Once you actually become a conscious cause, the effects start to feel magical in a sense. You unlock what's called synchronicity. It's not a term used in the Kybalion, but it's the natural result of this principle in motion and the embodiment of the unified frequency. Synchronicity is when you make a shift internally and suddenly, the universe mirrors it back to you through chance encounters, divine timing, and unexpected blessings. Because once you change the cause, reality reorganizes itself around your new frequency. And I call this the principle of 1 degree. You are always 1 degree of separation from changing the trajectory of your life forever. Let that sink in. Is it not possible that you walk down the street and you bump into someone, that person turns out to be an investor and they invest in your business? Is it not possible that you walk into a coffee shop and the person standing behind you in line turns out to be your soulmate? Is it not possible that you post a video online that goes crazy viral and all of a sudden unlocks a world of opportunities overnight? That's not mere chance. That is law. That's totally possible, and it happens all the time. I see it happen all the time with my clients. People going from 0 to 100K in under 4 months, 72K in less than 30 days, 30K weeks in under a year, etc. That's the effect of a deeper cause. You stepping into your power as an alchemistic creator. And when you live this way, you stop looking at your current circumstances as proof of who you are, and you start looking within, because the outer world is just a lagging indicator of your present vibration and motion. You set the cause, and reality handles the rest. Your time is coming, and trust that with a steady, unwavering confidence and long-term consistency, your synchronicities will become the effect of an aligned cause. Principle 7, gender. Gender is everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This final Hermetic principle states that masculine and feminine energies are not just about biological sex or cultural roles, they are fundamental forces embedded in all of reality. From the mental and spiritual plane to the physical world, gender is about energetic polarity. It has nothing to do with your anatomy. Every being contains both masculine and feminine energy. And every act of creation, whether it's a business, a piece of art, a moment of personal transformation, and even a baby, requires union between these two forces. The masculine principle is associated with logic, willpower, direction, structure, and discipline. It's active, projective, it initiates, penetrates, defines, and moves. The feminine principle is associated with intuition, emotion, creativity, nurturing, rest, and flow. It's receptive, magnetic. It harmonizes, gestates, and gives birth to what the masculine initiates. Masculine gives the form, feminine gives the field. And here's the key. Balance is vital, because whether you're a man or a woman, you must be aware of the cycles between these polarities within yourself. Lean too far into the masculine of pushing, doing, and grinding, and you burn out. You lose touch with your soul's rhythm. You forget how to receive. But lean too far into the feminine of waiting, visualizing, and flowing, and you get stuck in passive dreaming. You feel inspired, but never actually execute. Think of it like taming a campfire. When the flame is too wild, it scorches everything it touches, and it's unbearable to sit by. When the flame is too weak, it provides no warmth, and you're left feeling cold and abandoned. But when the fire is just right, it warms the soul. It draws others in. It carries you through the night, and is pleasurable to sit by. That's what inner harmony feels like. A being who has mastered this is both intentional yet surrendered, disciplined yet flowing, powerful but soft, clear yet creative, ambitious about their goals but carefree about how the path unfolds. They don't force reality, they dance with it. Because the most powerful force in the world is not action or intuition alone, it's the fusion of the two. Creation is the sacred dance between masculine and feminine. And when you learn to harmonize them within yourself, you stop chasing success and start embodying divine clarity. This is where true manifestation happens, and where embodiment of the 7 Hermetic Principles becomes natural. You graduate from a student of alchemy to a divine architect of reality. In conclusion, if I had to sum up the Hermetic Principles into one sentence, it would be, when you master yourself, you master your reality. It really is that simple. Mastery is your normal state of being. Connection to the all is your birthright. And in truth, you have nothing to learn, only to remember the true source of your power. That's why this video resonated so well, because it's all things you inherently know, but simply forgot. It's familiar to you already, and this video only popped into your awareness because you are ready to be initiated into that next level. And all you needed was a little bit of permission to do so, but you already knew that.